The night Africa was supposed to celebrate unity, pride, and progress began with a warning that few wanted to hear.
Of football, drama, and spectacle, Africa has its champion.
Before a single ball was kicked, before the anthem echoed through the stadium, something already felt wrong. Senegal's players arrived in the host nation's capital not as honored finalists, but surrounded, exposed, and unprotected. Fans flooded their path. Security was thin, order was fragile. For a team about to play the biggest match of their lives, the message was unsettling. This final was not going to be normal. And by the time the final whistle blew, African football would be left staring at one of its most uncomfortable mirrors. Because what unfolded in Rabat was not just a football match. It was a test of character, leadership, and values. And it revealed two very different ways of handling pressure when everything is on the line. AFCON had been brilliant. For nearly a month, the continent showcased its depth, passion, and growth. Underdogs rose. Giants stumbled. Stadiums were alive. Africa spoke through football, and the message was powerful. Senegal moved quietly but confidently, built on balance, discipline, and belief. Morocco, as hosts, carried the weight of expectation with style for most of the tournament. They were organized, confident, and backed by a nation dreaming of a home triumph. Everything was perfectly set for a final that could define an era. Instead, it became a lesson. The signs were there early. Senegal's coach spoke openly about the lack of security their team faced upon arrival. His concern was not dramatic, it was basic. Player safety should never be negotiable, especially in a continental final. But those warnings were brushed aside. The focus stayed on spectacle, not structure. And finals, more than any other match, do not forgive that kind of oversight. Because finals do not test logistics, they test people. From the first whistle, the game carried tension. Not the beautiful tension of elite competition, but the nervous kind. Fouls came quickly. Arguments followed. Every decision was contested. The crowd pushed. The players responded. Both teams knew what was at stake. For Senegal, it was history, identity, and legacy. For Morocco, it was pride, validation, and the responsibility of hosting Africa on its biggest stage. As the match wore on, neither side blinked. Chances were rare. Defenses held firm. Every tackle felt heavier. Every minute louder. The final 10 minutes of normal time turned into chaos. Senegal thought they had won it with a late goal. Celebrations erupted. Relief poured out. But it was taken away. The referee disallowed the goal for a foul in the buildup. Senegal pleaded for a VAR review. It never came. Frustration turned into disbelief, and disbelief turned into anger. Moments later, Morocco attacked. A player went down in the box. The referee waved play on. Then came the VAR review. After pressure, appeals, and a roaring home crowd, a penalty was awarded. The decision detonated the match. Senegal's players felt robbed. Their coach lost control. In an unprecedented moment, he asked his team to walk off the pitch in a continental final. On Africa's biggest night, it was a shocking image, one that echoed far beyond Rabat. Walking off the pitch is never acceptable at this level. It damages the game, the competition, and the message African football is trying to send to the world. Even those who sympathize with Senegal's frustration knew that lines should never have been crossed. And Morocco's coach was right to say so afterward. Africa deserved better than that image. But football stories are never that simple. Because while Senegal made a mistake, what followed revealed the real difference between the two sides. As tempers exploded and chaos threatened to end the final, one man refused to let the night collapse. Sadio Mane did not walk off. He did not shout. He did not fuel the anger. He pulled his teammates back. He demanded they return. He reminded them what they were playing for. Mane understood something crucial. Trophies matter, but dignity matters more. He knew that whatever injustice they felt, abandoning the pitch would stain their victory forever. Senegal listened. They came back. They accepted the referee's decision. They prepared to face whatever came next. Morocco now had their moment. A penalty, at home, with the crowd behind them, the ultimate chance to seize control of the narrative, and they missed. No wild celebrations followed from Senegal. No mocking, no provocation, just focus, just calm, just belief. Minutes later, Senegal struck again. This time it stood. The goal that decided the final was not born from chaos or intimidation. It came from composure, from staying present when everything was trying to pull them apart. When the final whistle blew, Senegal were champions, not because they were perfect, but because they were resilient. What happened next mattered just as much as the scoreline. Senegal's coach publicly apologized for his decision. He owned his mistake. He acknowledged that emotions took over. That accountability mattered. It was a powerful moment of humility. But on the other side, questions lingered. Throughout the match, Morocco crossed lines. Ball boys interfered with play. Towels were thrown away to delay restarts. Senegal's goalkeeper was disrupted repeatedly. Senior players were involved. This was not random, it was systematic. Winning at all costs. And that is where Morocco truly failed. Not because they lost, but because they forgot what hosting represents. For weeks, Morocco had been praised as Africa's gold standard, a nation ready to welcome the world. Infrastructure, organization, ambition. But hosting is not just about stadiums and logistics. It is about values, about restraint, about setting the tone. On this night, Morocco lost control, and in doing so, they damaged their own credibility. The contrast was painful. Senegal made one visible mistake and owned it. Morocco made many small ones and never truly addressed them. That is why this final will be remembered not just for its controversy, but for its lesson. Senegal won more than a trophy. They won respect. Sadio Mané did not score the winning goal, but he delivered something greater. Leadership under pressure. The ability to rise above emotion. His teammates knew it. That is why they urged him to lift the trophy. This was his final AFCON, and it ended not with dominance, but with dignity. African football is growing. The world is watching more closely than ever. Every major tournament is a statement about where the continent stands. This final could have been a celebration of progress. Instead, it became a warning. Talent alone is not enough. Passion without control becomes chaos, and hosting without humility becomes embarrassment. Senegal showed what champions look like when things go wrong. Morocco showed what happens when pressure is allowed to override principle. AFCON deserved a champion worthy of its evolution. And on that night in Rabat, Senegal proved they were that team, not just on the scoreboard, but in spirit. Africa will remember this final not for the noise, but for the lesson it delivered. And that lesson extends far beyond one final, one referee decision, or one missed penalty. It speaks to the crossroads African football now stands at. The continent has never had more talent, more global recognition, or more opportunity than it does right now. African players are leaders at the biggest clubs in the world. African teams are no longer surprises at global tournaments. Expectations have changed, and with those expectations comes responsibility. This is why the Rabat final mattered so deeply. Because moments like these shape perception, they decide whether progress feels real or fragile. Senegal understood that instinctively. Even in anger, even in frustration, they chose restraint. They chose the long view. They chose to protect the game itself. That choice will echo longer than any single goal. It will be remembered by young players watching across the continent, learning what it truly means to represent more than just a badge. For Morocco, the pain of this night will not fade easily. Losing a final at home is brutal. Losing control while hosting is worse. The disappointment was understandable, but the behavior surrounding it was not. Great football nations are not defined only by victories, but by how they handle defeat. This final exposed a gap between ambition and maturity, and closing that gap will matter far more than any future trophy. AFCON remains a powerful symbol of African unity and identity. Its growth has been earned through decades of struggle, brilliance, and belief. That is why protecting its integrity is essential. Senegal did that on this night, not by being flawless, but by being accountable, by choosing football over fury, by choosing dignity over desperation. In the years to come, the statistics will fade, the controversy will blur, but the image of Senegal regrouping, calming themselves, and finishing the job with composure will remain. It will stand as proof that true champions are revealed when circumstances turn against them. Africa crowned a winner that night, but more importantly, it was reminded of the standard it must hold itself to. Progress is not just measured in trophies or hosting rights. It is measured in moments like this, when values are tested under the brightest lights. Senegal passed that test. And in doing so, they gave African football something far more valuable than silverware. They gave it credibility.